So Disney's looking to buy 20th Century Fox, and I mean, why not? They've already bought Pixar and Marvel and Lucasfilm. But what is the end game? Is this all good news for Disney fans? Are there any negative side effects? We'll talk about this and more next from Fresh Baked. Hello everybody, welcome back to Fresh Baked. Thank you for joining us, Dilly. So you've probably heard by now that Disney's looking to buy 20th Century Fox, or at least most of it anyway. And now, mind you, this isn't a done deal, it's just talk so far, but everybody seems to be in agreement that it's going to happen for $20 to $30 billion. So just to put that into perspective, they paid $7.4 billion for Pixar, and they paid $4 billion each for Marvel and Lucasfilm. So the cost of 20th Century Fox is all that put together, plus another $5 to $10 billion. And that's how big Fox is. And we're just talking about the movies, mind you. Let's take a look at some of the properties, some of the franchises that Fox already owns. You've got Deadpool, Logan, you got the X-Men franchise, Fantastic Four, Kingsman, Alien, the Alien franchise, Die Hard, Home Alone, and they also own Star Wars. They own the original distribution rights to the original Star Wars trilogy, which means they also own this. So the next question is, for Star Wars fans, does this mean we get the restored original trilogy back? You know, the version before Lucas decided that Greedo shot first, and how inexplicably Jabba the Hutt winds up in the hangar with the Millennium Falcon and Han Solo. Might we also get a version of the X-Men and Fantastic Four, a version that fans can be proud of? These are excellent questions, but that's just the low-hanging fruit. That's small time. Disney isn't buying Fox or trying to buy Fox so they can retcon Apocalypse. So Fox TV then, The Simpsons, Family Guy, X-Files, among other things. No, I'm pretty sure they're not even allowed to buy the Fox Network or Fox News or Fox Sports, all of which would be considered anti-competitive, considering they already own ABC and ESPN. I mean, really, besides, the internet would die 1,000 deaths if Disney bought The Simpsons, for example, and tried to even breathe on it a little bit. So why then is Disney suddenly interested in buying Fox? And to answer that question, we need only look back a little bit at some recent Disney news to find that answer. The purchase of Fox and its library of titles would basically and effectively kill Netflix. Or possibly, if it doesn't kill Netflix, at the very least it would give Disney a very competitive advantage and allow them to hit the ground running when they launch their own Disney streaming service in 2019. You'll recall not long ago that Disney announced that they were going to in fact launch their own streaming service, one that would compete alongside of Netflix. And it was thought that they would compete, you know, they would coexist on the same field. They would be just a regular competitor to Netflix or to Hulu. And sure, those services would suffer a little bit because they wouldn't have Disney's library to count on, but there was plenty of content to go around. But content is king, and if Disney wants to compete, not just alongside Netflix and Hulu, but to dominate that service, then they need to get more content. And if Disney could include all of that Fox content on their streaming service, they could effectively kill two birds with one stone. By acquiring those Fox titles, those Fox franchises, they effectively double, maybe even triple their library. And at the same time, they take those titles off the board for Netflix and Hulu. So what does that mean for Netflix? Well, if it doesn't kill Netflix, if it doesn't severely cripple them, it at least allows Disney, like I said, to hit the ground running. Now, what we probably will wind up seeing is Netflix and Hulu signing more exclusivity deals with other studios so that they can retain and keep some of that content out of the hands of other services. Or maybe Netflix continues their trend of providing their own original content, good content, mind you, stuff like Stranger Things. But of course, all of this is still just speculation. They've only talked so far, but Fox is listening, and that's pretty key. And Disney's pretty good at this, actually, buying properties, acquiring new properties. They usually get what they seek. Now, one final thought, and that is this necessarily a good thing? Is buying Fox necessarily a good thing for everyone, for us, or for Disney as a company? It seems like it would be, but there are two considerations that kind of worry me a little bit. I remember thinking a while back after Disney had released their production schedule for the coming years that it seemed like they had a lot of titles, and there was a possibility that all of those titles, all those films coming out, were going to cannibalize each other. As mentioned, Disney has 4 working studios. There's Disney, Marvel, Lucasfilm, and Pixar. And they're all putting out good stuff on a regular basis. Meanwhile, Iger has said that they plan to put out about 10 films a year. That's tentpole films a year, mind you. Not 9 tentpoles in McFarlane USA, but 10 big budget, big title films. Now, if we expect a typical film to have about 4 weeks of decent run in theaters, that's 40 weeks out of 52 in a year that Disney has occupied already with their current stable of titles. You can fit maybe 1 or 2 more films in that schedule. And we're not talking about, you know, in the middle of summer or peak season in the winter. We're talking about February and November. Any more than that, and you are now competing against yourself. And that can't be a good thing. Which actually leads me to my next question. In this deal, and they haven't said, does this deal include only the rights to redistribute these films once they're produced by 20th Century Fox, or does Disney own the entire film studio? And even if they don't, wouldn't it still be a bad idea to compete against these films that you're going to eventually own or redistribute at a later time? Take, for example, Avatar. Disney has already said that they're not going to try to compete with the Avatar sequels, and this is because of Pandora at Walt Disney World. It doesn't serve Disney to compete. It doesn't serve Disney to hamper a franchise that they're leaning on to provide more popularity for their park at Animal Kingdom. So I ask again, how does this work? How does Disney produce more films than they're already making? Which leads me to my second fear. Do we, as a consumer, even want such a thing? Do we want Disney owning this much media? Is it more than just a little bit scary? It's a fairly basic question, but there is a lot of meat on that bone. And on this topic of Disney and power, we'll conclude with this. It was literally within minutes of our posting our video yesterday about the LA Times ban that Disney lifted that ban and allowed the LA Times to screen their films. The quick and overwhelming support for the LA Times was more than enough for Disney to change their minds and their direction on this. And in consideration of that, is it more likely that Disney would encounter more situations like this if they were to have that much power in the film industry? I put it to you, Fresh Baked. Let us know in the comments below, and until next time, Fresh Baked.